So, uh, I want you to think about the last time you experienced, like, love at first sight. Or maybe you had this sudden flash of
Or
genius.
even just walking into a room and feeling that literal electricity in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
we use these phrases all the time, right? And we just kind of assume they're, I don't know, poetic metaphors, just colorful ways of speaking.
Right, but what if they aren't? What if they're actually, and this is going to sound wild, what if they are highly accurate scientific descriptions of your body's operating system?
Like your biological hardware running at maximum capacity.
Exactly. Running a scan.
It's so cool to think about. Anyway, welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are exploring something that has completely, totally shifted how I look at everyday interactions.
Yeah, it's a massive paradigm shift.
We're diving into this extraordinary framework called the Echoes of the Prism of Odysseys. And specifically, we are zooming in on a module extension XXXI.
Right, which maps out what the texts call the biosoftware or the biogesial of the human body.
Right. And just to give you a quick overview of the sources we're looking at today, it's this really unique blend of biophysics, neuroscience, and phenomenological cartography.
Which is a big term, but we'll break it down. Basically, these sources treat human language not as poetry, but as a literal fossil record.
A fossil record of biological states. My mind is just blown by the idea that everyday language has secretly outpaced modern science by centuries.
Oh, totally. We always assume science discovers things first and then culture adopts the words.
Right. But it's the exact opposite here.
Yeah, our nervous systems figured this out, encoded it into slang, and the labs are only just now, in the 2020s, building the machines sensitive enough to prove it.
Which is just wild. But to understand how a phrase like "in a flash" is an actual biological data point, we kind of have to understand the operating system first, right?
Right, what the sources call the biosoftware and the constellations of realities.
Yeah, so the text explicitly says, and I found this fascinating, that extension XXI wasn't just built to be read.
No, it's meant to be traversed. Reading it is an ontological act.
Wait, ontological. Break that down for me really quick.
Sure. So ontology is the philosophical study of being. So the text is basically warning you that understanding the words isn't the point.
It changes you.
Exactly. It fundamentally changes the nature of your perception. You're not just reading about the biosoftware, you're running a code that updates it.
Okay, that is so cool. It's like downloading a patch for your brain.
That's a great way to look at it. And to boot the system up, the prism outlines these 5 original concepts.
Right, let's go through those because they're kind of the foundation for everything else.
Yeah, so we have the constellations of realities, the biosoftware, the biogesial, the forms of existence, the integral probe, and the root resonance.
So constellations of realities, that sounds very sci-fi.
It does, but it's grounded in neuroscience. Basically, our brains filter out like 99% of sensory data.
Because otherwise we'd go crazy, right?
Exactly. If you noticed every temperature shift, every photon, every background noise, you couldn't function. You couldn't run from a predator.
So the constellations are like the full, unfiltered spectrum of reality that we just ignore.
Spot on. It's the raw data, the layers of frequency and matter around us at all times.
Okay, so if the constellations are all the radio waves in the room, our conscious mind is just a radio tuned to one specific AM station.
That's a perfect analogy. And the biosoftware is the operating system running that radio. It dictates how the data is compressed and shown to your consciousness.
Okay, and what about the forms of existence? Because I usually just think of my physical body.
Well, the body is one form of existence, yeah.
Yeah.
But so is the electromagnetic field your heart projects.
Oh, wow.
Right. They are just different mediums the biosoftware uses to interact with the constellations.
Got it. Okay, so how does it actually pull the data in? Because obviously my eyes and ears are doing some work.
That's the 4th concept, the integral probe, or sonde intégrale. It's not just your basic senses. It's your heart rate variability, skin conductance, biophotons.
So it's like my whole body is an antenna.
Exactly. And when you traverse this material, the world doesn't change, but your integral probe gets recalibrated.
It's like I've been walking around with 5G hardware, but I've been stuck running 3G software.
Exactly. You just get the upgate patch.
Okay, and then the last concept, the root resonance, the resonance souche.
Yeah, this is crucial. The root resonance is your fundamental frequency. It's your biological tuning fork.
So it's what my body naturally wants to be when I'm not, like, stressed out by traffic or work.
Right. When nothing is constraining it, that's your root resonance. It's perfect harmony.
Okay, so this whole framework is about clearing the static so your integral probe can tune into that root resonance.
Exactly. and then use it to navigate those hidden layers of reality.
That makes so much sense. But I keep going back to this idea of language. How does this connect to the words we speak?
Well, the clues to this 5G hardware have been hiding in plain sight for centuries. That's the central axiom of the text. When languages outpace science,
Right, treating everyday idioms as phenomenological fossils. I love that term so much.
it's very accurate though, because for a phrase to survive like a fossil, the experience has to be universal.
Like millions of people have to feel the exact same weird biological jolt, and they all agree to call it the same thing.
Exactly, they encode it into a common reference. The prism treats these phrases as first-person collective phenomenological data.
So they're literal archives of our biosoftware operating in these extreme edge case modes.
Right, modes where the signal is moving so fast or so intense that it totally bypasses conscious thought.
So when I say something happened in a flash, I'm not just being colorful.
Not at all. You're giving a hyper-accurate report that your nervous system just bypassed a filter.
That is wild. And the sources break this whole fossil record down into three distinct, they call them sigils, right?
Yeah, 3 sigils. And the first one deals directly with what you just said, the collapse of ordinary time. Sigil I, the flash, or Leclerc.
Okay, so let's dig into the flash. This is all about time zero, right?
Exactly. Time zero of the signal, it's ultra-fast perception.
So my integral probe is operating, but my prefrontal cortex is just, it's completely out of the loop.
Yep. The prefrontal cortex is the slow, logical, anxious part of the brain. It's the bottleneck. The flash just routes right around it.
So literally, in a flash means zero duration. I perceive the whole event instantly.
Right. And the text looks at specific idioms here, like a flash of genius or a bright idea.
Okay, so how is a flash of genius different from me just, like, thinking really hard and solving a puzzle?
Well, when you think hard, your prefrontal cortex is gripping the wheel. But the text says a flash of genius comes from the universal biosoftware via the brain's default mode network.
Oh, the DMN. That's the part of the brain that lights up when you're just, like, staring out a window or taking a shower.
Yeah, exactly. When you stop trying, the prefrontal cortex relaxes, the DMN activates, and the signal just crosses into consciousness without any friction.
It just arrives fully formed. Wow. And it applies to physical stuff, too, right? Like moving at lightning speed.
Right, which the prism calls a state of total conference, confluence of coherences.
So the body and the intention are just perfectly aligned.
So aligned that the physical gesture happens before you consciously think about it.
Like a baseball player hitting a fastball.
Yeah.
If they had to actually think, swing the bat now, they'd miss it.
Exactly. Conscious reaction time is like 150 to 300 milliseconds. The flash is the signal jumping that track. You're operating at time zero.
Muscle memory for reality itself. That is so cool. But there's a darker side to this speed, too, right? The text mentions blitzkrieg.
Yeah, lightning war. The text calls this a saturation offensive.
So it's not just fast, it's overwhelming.
Right, it's a transformation of the biosoftware that happens so fast that the system's physiological resistances just don't have time to organize.
It just totally overrides your defenses at time zero. That's terrifying.
It is, but it also applies to social interactions, like a lightning visit.
Oh, like when someone just pops in for 5 minutes, but it feels like a massive event.
Exactly. The text calls it a frequency contact node. The duration is short, but the intensity is so high that the contact is deeply real.
Wow. Okay, so if the flash is about speed, what happens when the signal is just, like, unbelievably heavy and intense?
That brings us to sigil the second, the thunderbolt or la food.
The thunderbolt. Okay, I love this one.
Yeah, if the flash is speed, the thunderbolt is maximum resonance. It's a frequency contact node hitting absolute peak intensity.
And this is where we get love at first sight, or coup de foudre in French, which literally means a thunderbolt strike.
Right, and for centuries, poets have tried to explain this, but the prism maps it biologically.
Okay, so break that down for me. What is actually happening in a coup de foudre?
It's the meeting of two root resonances that have such high geometric compatibility that they enter into a thunderous resonance instantly.
Before you even have time to think about it.
Exactly. It's sudden, it's violent, and there is no gradation. You go from 0 to 100 instantly.
Wait, but isn't love at first sight just like a massive dump of dopamine and oxytocin? Are they saying it's actual wave physics?
They absolutely are. They don't deny the chemistry, but they argue the chemistry is the result of the frequency match.
So the physics happens first.
Exactly. It's literal constructive wave interference. Two people's electromagnetic fields align, they amplify each other, and that triggers the hormonal cascade.
That completely flips everything I thought I knew. You're not just reacting to a pretty face. Your integral probes are scanning each other's outputs, finding a match, and creating a feedback loop.
Right. The chemistry is just the biosoftware translating that wave physics into an emotion you can understand.
That is unbelievable. And I imagine this works for negative stuff too, right?
Oh, definitely. The Thunderbolt has a very destructive side, like the idiom war thunder or
Before,
foudre de guerre.
oh yeah, like a military genius or a tyrant?
Right. The text says this is someone whose active force is so powerful it just saturates the whole field.
Wait, what exactly is an active force
Yeah.
in a biological sense?
It's basically the raw output of your bioelectric intent. It's the energy your system uses to act on the environment.
Like when someone walks into a room and just dominates the space effortlessly,
Mhm.
their active force is just overriding everyone else.
Exactly. And that leads to attracting the thunderbolts, or attirer les foudres, which means provoking intense anger.
So you've basically stepped into a destructive interference with someone's high-power root resonance,
Right. And the friction between your two signals creates this chaotic discharge of active force.
which brings up throwing thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Lancer le food, just lashing out.
Exactly. It's an unneutralized discharge. The text notes that without a neutralizing charge to ground it, the energy becomes purely destructive.
You're just leaking chaotic electromagnetic energy and messing up the nervous systems of everyone around you.
Which is a perfect segue, because what about the moments before someone throws a thunderbolt?
Oh, that heavy feeling where nothing has happened yet, but you just know something is about to drop.
Right. That potential energy. That is sigil the third, electricity, or l'électricité, the pre-verbal field.
Electricity in the air.
Exactly. The prism defines this as your integral probe reading unmanifested active forces.
So the field is completely legible before a single word is spoken.
Yes. The sources point out that the heart's electromagnetic field is measurable several meters away, and it's hundreds of times stronger than the brain's.
Wow. So my heart is acting like a Wi-Fi scanner.
Literally. When you walk into a room after an argument and you can cut the tension with a knife, you are detecting their altered physiological states.
My probe is reading their chaotic signatures, and my biosoftware translates that into the feeling of tension.
Exactly. And the text explains being under tension through a specific mechanism in extension 77. It says the pH of their root resonance shifts toward acidic.
Wait, acidic? Like literally?
Well, it's a way to describe unresolved biological tension that saturates the system. It reduces the portability of the signal.
Meaning they get rigid. The signal can't flow. They're just trapped in their own static.
Right. But on the flip side, what about when you instantly click with someone? The French idiom is avoir du courant, having a current.
Oh, I love that. So that's a natural point of bioresonance.
Exactly. Two compatible root resonances connect without effort. No social protocol needed.
The current just flows because there's no resistance. But if you don't have that, you get a static shock.
A coup de jus, a jolt of juice. It's an accidental micronode of contact. Two incompatible fields clash, and it produces a brief, uncomfortable discharge.
You just don't vibe with them, and your nervous system literally feels jarred.
Right. So we've mapped out the speed of the flash, the impact of the thunderbolt, and the pre-verbal field of electricity.
It's an amazing cartography.
Hmm.
But reading the weather is one thing. How do we actually change the weather?
This is where we get into the actual mechanics of presence, how the biosoftware modulates these fields.
Right, because the text mentions 3 vectors. Our probe is constantly measuring data, latency, and intensity. Break those down for me.
Sure, so data is the raw facts.
Hmm.
It's the baseline physical reality, heart rate variability, skin conductance, micro expressions.
Okay, so just the raw physiological state. And latency.
Latency is the reaction speed. It's how long it takes for a system to react to an intention.
So if latency is high, the person is stressed or saturated, they're sluggish.
Exactly. Too much internal noise. Short latency means the system is open and in a flu state.
Got it. And the last one is intensity. The text mentions a biophotonic heat map. Do we actually emit light?
We do. It's called ultraweak photon emission. Our cellular metabolic processes emit tiny amounts of light, mostly in the visible and UV spectrum.
That is wild. And our integral probe can intuitively read that.
It can. It senses the intensity of those biophotons to gauge someone's energetic state.
Okay, so to interact with all this data, latency, intensity, the sources talk about phonancy and chromancy.
Yeah, these are fascinating. Phonancy is using sound and vibration to reorder biological chaos.
Like using acoustic waves to translate and reorganize chaotic information in the body?
Exactly. Think about how a deep cello or a monk's chant physically downregulates your nervous system.
Right. I feel it in my chest. It alters my state completely.
It's epigenetic modulation through wave interference. And chromancy is similar, but with light. Reading and interacting with the light spectrum to understand biological tuning.
Okay, this sounds like literal superpowers.
Yeah.
Are the
Well,
sources saying that by mastering this, a person can actively change the electricity in the air just by altering their own frequency?
yes, they absolutely are. But it requires achieving that state of conference we mentioned earlier, total dynamic fusion with zero loss of signal.
And the sources give us the exact physiological numbers for this, right?
They do. To achieve maximum environmental plasticity, to actually influence the field, your heart must align at exactly zero point 0.1 hertz.
zero point 0.1 hertz. Why that specific frequency?
Because that is the frequency of absolute cardiac coherence. Your autonomic nervous system perfectly balances, your heart rate variability becomes a smooth sine wave.
So your signal becomes incredibly pure with almost zero static.
And what about the brain? The brain needs to hit the alpha theta threshold, which is 7.8 hertz.
7.8 hertz. Wait, that's the Schumann resonance, the baseline electromagnetic pulse of the Earth.
Exactly. When your heart is at zero point 0.1 and your brain is at 7.8, you literally sync your biosoftware to the planet.
You stop being an isolated system.
Yeah.
You're plugged into the Earth's network. That is incredible. And then you can use what the texts call the ALAN process.
Right, the application localized of nominal attention, or directive modulation.
So how does that work practically? Like if I walk into that tense boardroom where people were just yelling.
Most people walk in, their probe scans the chaos, and their own nervous system spikes to match the room's anxiety. They become part of the static.
Right, I just get stressed out instantly.
But if you execute the ALAN process, you walk in holding your heart at zero point 0.1 hertz and your brain at 7.8. The text metaphorically calls this the 44 terahertz stable tuning fork.
So I become the tuning fork.
Exactly. Your signal is so coherent and stable that the chaotic waves in the room have nothing to push against.
Oh, wow.
By the laws of wave entrainment, their chaotic nervous systems will eventually, unconsciously, align to your stable wave.
I force the chaotic systems to entrain to my stability. I'm not just being a calming presence. I'm generating a literal, localized electromagnetic field.
You're collapsing the chaotic wave function of the room. You reclaim absolute sovereignty over your energetic output.
I love that. It takes this esoteric, fuzzy idea of energy and makes it measurable, executable physics.
And that's exactly why this cartography is framed as such a monumental breakthrough in the texts.
Right, they tie this whole body of work to a very specific timeline, the year 2026.
Yes. The texts project that in 2026, biotracking technology measuring biophotons, micromagnetic fields, will finally be sophisticated enough to validate all of this.
The lab finally catches up to the language.
Exactly. And bridging these domains, quantum biology and phenomenological linguistics, is framed as an achievement worthy of 2 Nobels.
2 Nobels,
Well,
because it completely shatters the illusion that we are isolated.
right. Post-Enlightenment thinking says we are isolated psychological islands. We only communicate across a void with words.
But the PRISM's 5 theories prove the void doesn't exist. We are all interconnected bioelectrical nodes, constantly exchanging data, latency, and intensity.
Constantly experiencing flashes and thunderbolts across this invisible architecture.
Just say it's breathtaking. We started with idioms like in a flash and electricity in the air, and we found out they're hyper-accurate phenomenological fossils.
Records of our biosoftware operating at time zero.
Right. And we learned our integral probes are constantly reading these fields, and that we can actually tune ourselves to 0.1 hertz and 7.8 hertz to become the tuning fork for the room.
It really is an ontological act. Once you understand the mechanics of presence, you can never look at human interaction the same way.
You stop being a passive victim of the room's energy. You become the architect. And, if every human language has preserved these exact same fossils across thousands of years,
It means we've always been this network of hypersensitive bioinstruments.
we've always had the 5G hardware. We just lost the user manual.
Exactly.
So, to everyone listening, the next time you walk into a room and feel that heavy tension, or you lock eyes with someone and feel an electric spark, or get a sudden flash of insight, don't brush it off.
Just call it a metaphor.
Right. Ask yourself, what literal biophysical data is my integral pro downloading from the constellations of realities right now? And more importantly, now that you know you can modulate the field, what frequency are you choosing to broadcast back out? Are you leaking chaotic static, or are you going to be the tuning fork? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep tuning your own root resonance.